So to answer use guy, am I pronouncing that right, by the way, use guy? I hope so. But to answer you, what is rolling? Rolling is basically simultaneously closing a contract, option contract, and then opening a new one, either at a different strike and or different time. Basically, when selling, it's something you want to do. If you're going to do it during buying, you're really doubling down, like not doubling down, but you're really committed to your conviction. So like, let's say you buy a October 17th call, you're not liking what you're seeing, you decide like I want to give myself more time. You can sell to close the October 17th whatever you bought, and at the same time buy to open a November 21, let's just say. And then you're going to have to pay a debit if you're buying. Hey there, Theodore and Ludo. So does that answer your question on rolling? I mean, we can go over more. I think with rolling sushi here, I mean, I can even pull up an example. Theodore and Ludo, I think you've been here before, Ludo. I can't remember, but both of you this is just me answering questions. So whatever comes to mind, bring it up. Yeah, no problem. Honestly, in my opinion, rolling is really better when selling. I feel like if you're buying and rolling, you got to have like a really strong conviction. Now, of course, you could roll, let's say, a leap, like it's profitable. You want to take some profits off the table and then re-enter a leap. That's a way to do it. But okay, good to know, Ludo. Yeah, we're just, and Theodore too. All I don't have much planned here. Just answering questions, and that's what drives this whole thing. So thanks for coming. Appreciate both you here. So rolling sushi. What are some general principles when it comes to rolling and adjusting? Is it based on your views at that point in time? Are you trying to get your delta exposure to zero? And then are you trying to still maintain profit on the trade? So what are some general principles when it comes to rolling and adjusting? I've talked to you before and others, especially for me, I pretty much roll at 21 DTE or sooner, sometimes later, but rarely. Usually 21 DTE is pretty much my hard stop. I will do it sooner if I'm getting tested and it's making me a little nervous. Like you saw with Baidu today, if you follow my trades, I decided to roll out to November. It's 28 DTE, but I rolled out to November just because my short call's already breached. It's making me a little nervous. I'm looking at it like every day, seeing what the prices of Baidu. It's like, you know what? I'm just gonna roll out in time. And I'm just gonna, they call it buy the guts and sell the wings. So I'm just gonna buy the guts, sell the wings, because I'm already at a straddle. Recenter myself, lower my risk. Now I'm a little more risky on the put side, but I think with Baidu, I feel like bullish. We're in a bullish market. Yeah. Why did I choose November? Why I just rolled to the next monthly. So October 17th was the monthly I'm currently trading. Now it's going to be November 21. I just trade monthlies. That's the reason why I went to November. The weekly would have been okay, but the liquidity is just not going to be as good. And basically, to answer your question about delta exposure, yeah, I'm trying, especially if it's a strangle or a straddle, I'm trying to keep it delta neutral. So sometimes that will be just rolling the untested side down, but especially if IV's high and I can get away with it and not either spend a small debit or get a credit, I will not just roll down the untested. I'll completely recenter if I can. Just to give me, like, especially with the Baidu one, now my short call's at 160. I'm pretty, I feel pretty confident in that trade. A little more confident, I should say. And then at 135, Baidu's been kind of holding 135 the last few days, so I feel confident with that in my put. I also would rather be tested on a put than a call for shorts. And then to answer your last question, are you still trying to maintain a profit on the trade? I would still obviously like to get a profit on the trade. So, but rolling, especially when you're tested on like a short strangle or something, it's defensive. I mean, it's a defensive. Things moved against me very quickly. Obviously, I'm going to manage it to a point where I can hopefully walk away with a profit. I mean, maybe like now, maybe Baidu's kind of slowed down and I can keep this strangle on for a couple weeks and walk away with something. I might not sit for 50% though. Depends on what the price action looks like. You know, if I'm still being tested all the time, and like if I keep on having to roll and keep rolling and rolling and rolling, then I'm definitely going to walk away for a scratch instead of sitting in it. Hey there, Grumble Cakes. Thanks for joining. I hope it answers all those questions, but if not, you can let me know. And then I see your question, Ludo, but I'm going to keep going with rolling here because we're talking about rolling. Recentering means you want the width of the wing to be the same. Yeah, I mean, like ideally, you want it, when I say recentering, I want it to be more delta neutral. With the Baidu one, excluding the call debit spread that was built into my original ratio spread that I opened, I'm I'm really just looking to be close to delta neutral. I mean, I think the strangle itself is 12 delta, so I'm a little long delta, but I want that with Baidu where I feel like there's room for it to potentially move up. I don't know about it moving down. And like I said, I'd rather be tested on the put side than the call side anyways. Because worst case, I'm going to own shares, but I'm going to keep rolling it, honestly, if it goes down lower. I just was feeling nervous with what, like an 850 credit. Obviously, I have a built-in 500 somewhere in there, but I was already $5 past. That only gives me a couple, a little, like another, with the 500 built in, another like $800 of break even to the upside. And I was just like watching it too much. It was just, it made me feel better. So it's not exactly that I'm going to be like my brain, if it's $100, I'm not going to look at the stock. I'm not going to look for necessarily have to be 8120, let's say, with the strangle. I'm going to do something I feel comfortable with. If I feel like I have a bullish bias or there's call skew or something like that, then maybe I'll skew it. I mean, Baidu had call skew, so kind of was easy to make that call wider than the put. So I think that answers anything. But if you have follow-ups, let me know, Rolling. I never messed with options till this week. Oh, interesting, because you've been in this Discord for a bit here. But hey, great. Do you have any research books channels you could suggest where one could get started? Yeah, you're welcome. Rolling Sushi. If you have more questions, let me know. So, Ludo, one thing I like a lot. Number one, I'm going to selfishly or shamelessly promote myself, and anything on my after hour, I got pretty good learning stuff on there. But I really like this resource here. Um, it's got a lot of stuff on there. I mean, it's got spreads, stuff like that, and then um, also just concepts explained. It's a pretty wide information tool, but I really like Tasty, and I like how they explain stuff. Like I said, my after I have some posts on there too. But yeah, if you have other specific questions, Ludo, just throw them out there. So Zerg, to talk about the profit chart, let's pull up one. Let's just do, well, here, let's just pull up Oxy since you can see it here. So, Ludo, excuse me, not Ludo, Zerg, excuse me, Zerg. So Zerg here. Looking at this profit and loss. So, what this whole graph is telling you, and when I take a picture of it, down here, well, I don't go down here. This is just my credit or my debit, which I will tell you in my post. I'll tell you what I do, but really what we're reading here is these. So what this is just a translation from the options chain table. So in this case, I sold 2 of the 50 and bought 1 of the 55 in the October 17th expiration. And in the November 21, I bought a 45. So this is called a crab trade. It's like calendarized ratio butterfly. Basically, it's a butterfly trade, but you're in the money side of this because you can do this with calls or puts, but you're in the money side is longer dated than the out of the money side, which is this. So all this is showing you is that I bought a call at 45 and 1121, and here's the premium that it was at the time that I took the screenshot, and then sold 2 of the $50 call in 1017. Here's the premium, probably per contract. And then I'm going to guess that's per contract. And then I bought one 55 1017 for 7 cents. So does that sort of clear that up for you, Zerg? What you're looking at there? Because I can do more. I can show you more. I mean, I try to. It can be confusing. Hey there, Ann. Thanks for coming. And if you have, I don't think you've been in here, Ann. We're just answering questions. So if you have questions, throw it out there. Not much. Got Zerg wanted to ask about profit graphs, trying to understand them better. So it's more like a tracker. IDK is a good word for it. It's more of a visual tool of the trade. So what we're looking at here is at expiration, what this trades, but this is basically showing you what legs I submitted to get this trade. And then this tells you, okay, at expiration, depending on the price, where my profit and loss would be at. I hope that's like, let's just say, if you did let's just go to Bloom Energy here, and you just said you wanted to buy an $85 call, then you'd be looking at, this is your profit graph. So looking at it just to show you, Zurich, you're buying the $85 call, 1017, $9.90 is probably the bid or the ask here. I think it's probably the ask. No, yeah, it's the ask. And then this just shows your profit, where your break even is, stuff like that. Just to make it a little more simple, so it's not a spread. Yeah, it's just a way to visualize it. And so instead of me having to fully, this is good feedback for me, because when I first started learning, I asked what image I should include, and there wasn't very many people who voted, but the most of the people who voted said this one. But the only reason I like it is that it does show you the legs that I did in the trade, but if it's not clear, then that's good information to know. So instead of me having to type out, like, I bought one of the 85 call and two of the, that's why I just show the screenshot. But if it's not clear, that is good information to know. No, this is better. It's just, I thought it was some other type of graph. Oh yeah, no. So it's really just showing what the structure is, and then the profit graph. That's really all we're looking at there. Yeah, I think I had. I can't remember what the three pictures were. One of them was like just to take a picture of the option table chain here. The other one was that, and there was one more that I took a picture of. Oh, I think it was just like this over here. But everyone, or 4 or 5 people voted for the curve graph here, as they call it. But yeah, glad that cleaned it up. Ludo, do you have, is there, oh, go ahead, Zerg. Yes, good. You're welcome. Ludo, if you have anything, if you just started trading options, so you've been in this in the Discord for a while and just been trading shares, huh? But yeah, if you have anything you can think of with options related, happy to talk to you about it. Like I said, yeah, take your 5 minutes, no problem, no problem. And or Grumble Cakes, you guys got questions? Zerg, if you have another question, no problem. Otherwise, we'll just sit in silence. I mean, whatever. What is my favorite stock replacement strategy? That's a good question. And that's a good question. So really the two choices, unless I'm not able to think of one, is the synthetic stock and the zebra. If there's another one that I'm forgetting, please let me know. And Grumble Cakes, if you were typing there, if you want to finish your question, don't hesitate. I would say I like both zebra and the synthetic stock spread. What I'm going to err toward depends on a couple of things. If it's low implied volatility, I'm more likely to do a zebra. If it's higher implied volatility, I'm more likely to look at the synthetic stock. And if I'm pretty confident, because that short put, it gets really benefited from the high implied volatility. So that's why I look at like that one. I mean, if you talk about for like the bit farm trade that I did today, I'm, you know, I know nothing about bit farm. People are talking about it a lot. So I decided, okay, I'll do something just to get on this train. But, how confident am I on it? I would say I'm not too confident, but we'll see what happens. So I was willing to get in for $300. But looking at the zebra here, yeah, I mean, I'd have to pay $147, which is not bad, but that's about half the cost of 100 shares. It was just, yeah, I don't know. A zebra would have been a fine choice here. I think I just was leaning towards the synthetic stock, like I said, because implied volatility is ridiculous right now. But both are good. There's no wrong choice. I think it's just a matter of like this, I have to pay a debit up front with the zebra, right? With the synthetic stock, other than my buying power, I'm receiving money today and then tying up some buying power, right? So it's kind of just between the two of them. I probably lean towards zebra more than synthetic stock just because um, the synthetic stock replacement, um, if the stock drops, you're kind of screwed, right? Like, well, I'm left holding a bag at a cost that I might not be happy with on some shares, and so I don't love going to it. I do like the aspect of a zebra where, like with that one, I pay $150 and I'm done. Either it gains or it doesn't. With this one, because the stock was so cheap and I got a decent credit, it was like, okay, so I didn't even compare the zebra, which I should have. But instead of $150, my max loss is 100. This 322, $4. That means, okay, worst case, I'm spending $400 if I get assigned. I don't know. I like them both. I don't know if I probably lean towards zebras more than synthetic stock, though, to answer your question. I hope it is a winner for you, and I know nothing. People are talking about this stock. They're all hyped up. Is it based on anything? I don't know, but it was a cheap way to get in, see what happens. And we got till November. Okay, I'm gonna go with Ludo. We'll come back to your question. I'm gonna stick with Ann and Grumble Cake since they're talking about some zebras and stuff. But don't forget, I will come back. Will not forget. I will come back. Um, when setting up your zebra, do you focus more on the delta or the short call to remove extrinsic value? Um, yeah. So I used to be very anal retentive. Like, okay, I have to have this equal 100 deltas. But really, I try to just do 70 or less delta on the long, and then the shorts just at the money. Um, that's pretty much what I do. The delta, I'd like it to be, a little higher, and if I really care, then I'll play around to make it more 100 deltas. But if we look at like the American Airlines one I opened, not too long ago here. I can't remember exactly, but I'm pretty sure this is pretty close to where it was, and I just went with yeah, I went with the 11 because it was around the 70 delta, and then I just sold it at the money 13. I mean, you could have done it with a 12 and just 13 if you wanted to, or the 12 and the 14. Um, but I guess to answer your question, I think I focus on the delta. Um, and it's more of the delta on the long side, and then I just kind of go at the money for the short, if that answers your question. For a call zebra spread, good example, your current odds, yes, okay. Would the price tag be the strike price of your covered call for selling the leap and buying back the covered call? You're welcome, man. If you have more questions about that, let me know. I hope that answered it. Okay, so I'm a little confused here, Grumble Cakes. When you're saying covered call, are you calling it covered call because it's essentially the short is covered by the long? Is that what you mean? Look at odds here. This odds one's just another cheapie, just seeing what would happen. Getting in on the hype trains, low cost. Not going to buy 15,000 shares or something crazy. Ooh, I didn't put. Oh well, it should be fine. So yes, so a little confusing there, Grumble Cakes. So I called it a leap zebra just because I did it in January of 2027. So I really just made it so that I have a ton of time. But all I did in it is I bought two of the $5 calls and sold one 750 call. And so I can't remember exactly when I routed this what the delta was of the trade. It was probably close to 100. So it's not naked because the short call here is covered by one of these longs. And so the benefit of this, and I'm sure you've seen and we've talked about before, is that now there's no extrinsic value and I'm long basically 100 shares. Yeah, so there is no naked call in this one. Um, I will disclaimer if I have naked calls because I don't think everyone should be following me with the naked calls. You got to definitely want to have a decent size account before you jump in with naked calls. Defined risks is a good way to go until you have a certain portfolio value for sure. But does that answer that question, Grumble Cakes? Okay, good. I'm glad. Yeah, you're welcome. I don't know what this cost today. Well, it's going to be more than what I spent, but yeah, this is just a zebra that I did in a year, over a year in the future. Instead of just buying a leap, I thought I'd just eliminate extrinsic value. It was still pretty cheap at the time. Yeah. So Ludo, to answer your question, I've been in and out since joining in July. Went back to work, so had limited time to mess around in the market and keep track of things here. Stocks over options. Read a few too many horror stories on Reddit about options and chose to stay away from them. I've been slowly dabbling with it recently to give it a try. So that is the thing about options, Ludo. Options are great, very powerful, very awesome. People on Reddit, especially Wall Street Bets, they do not use options correctly. So of course you're reading horror stories there. Um, options are the cool thing about options. You have to be smart. Cool thing about options is leverage, very flexible. Pretty much once you start getting the hang of it, your own imagination is the only limiting factor. You can pretty much do whatever you want with options. As you just saw, we were talking about two different synthetic stock replacement strategies. So with a Zebra, I can pay a fraction of the cost and I'm owning 100 shares synthetically. With a synthetic stock spread, I'm tying up buying power in a put, but I'm usually receiving a credit. And then once again, I'm long 100 shares. So those are like other buying strategies. Obviously, you can go on the sell side, which is cool. Um, Selling a put is a great way to just generate income. Let's say you like You like ons, right? But you're like, I don't want to buy it at $6.70. Well, great way you can sell puts at $5 and just keep selling puts until you're assigned. Maybe you're never assigned though. But like that's cool thing about options that you could say like I don't really want to buy a stock at said price. I want to buy it at a lower price. Let me just sell puts until then I'm assigned and then I own the shares at the price that I feel like is the fair value. Um, but yeah, you need to be. I'm sure you do this with your share stuff. Obviously, exercising caution, right? You're not going to just full port or anything. I personally follow about 1 to 3% of my portfolio into when I open a defined risk trade. It's about 1 to 3% of my buying power portfolio value, and then um, roughly up to 5% with undefined risk, which I would not recommend you're looking at yet because you're just starting. But undefined risk isn't quite as scary as it sounds. You just got to be smart about it. I'm not telling you, hey, go open a short $10 call and open today. Probably not going to work out. It could, but I don't. Who knows what the heck's going to happen with that one? I really want to short that stock, but I don't want to be crying like Scarelli. So that's something I saw on Reddit. So yeah, there's nothing when you say slowly dabbling, Ludo. Like, what are you buying long side more? Are you buying puts, buying calls, kind of following the signals from the Discord? Buying calls. Yeah, and that's fine. Um, I'm not a vanilla buying call person. I even like in our Discord or other Discords, I feel like whenever I try to, I don't know what it is, I try to follow the trade, I pick the wrong one to follow. I don't know what the heck happens. So it's made me like not really always follow, even though I probably should sometimes. I mean, you see like David Knight, you see Royalty, you see Trina, you see all the people who alert. They do a pretty good job of it. Um, I just started with selling, which is not common. A lot of people start with buying and then move to selling. Um, I just started with selling, so for the longest time, I never really bought anything. But now, applied volatility is low. I do buy. I mean, I don't know if you see my alerts. I do some debit trades, but I don't just buy out the money calls a lot of the time. Yeah. But, you know, it's all about learning. And so I'm hoping even just to watch my alerts, you can maybe glean something from it, but you're not necessarily just blindly following. Um, yeah, learning. That's what I'm hoping for there. 26% short interest. That's pretty high. So that's the problem is when you have that higher short interest, the question is it a short squeeze? Which we already saw. It's already potentially in there. And is it going to continue? I was going to smartly short it, just to be clear. I was going to I looked at it today. I almost did a synthetic bearish just to see. And then I was going to cap my call just to play around. But I don't know with open. Obviously, just buy a put too if I really wanted to. Yeah, exactly. And that's how I was feeling about Bitfarm too. But I was like, you know what? For $322 max loss, I'll jump in. Same with ONS. Like I feel a little bit better about ONS. It doesn't seem like a hype play, but same thing. It was like, okay, for $370 and I'm giving myself over a year, we'll see what happens. It's a cheap little shot, you know. I don't need to buy 10 of them or anything. That is very true, Anne. That is why it's hard sometimes to know what to do. So, You even see on After Hour people like, well, September, the Bears, get out of here. It's like, okay, everyone. Things are not lining up. The stars are not aligning in a good way here, okay? When you all believe that nothing wrong can happen is exactly when something is going to happen. So, I think we got a lot of people who are doing very well. I hope it continues for them. We'll see what happens, because things are going to change here. But I've been saying that for like a year, so who knows? Just be smart. Just be smart. All right, Ludo, let's see. Type it out there. Off topic question. I asked this earlier in a different chat. What are your thoughts on MTPLF? So they're over the counter, which to me is a bit of a red flag. Not red flag, yellow flag. Over the counter penny stock. I'm gonna kind of wait. Um, so, anyways, because it's over the counter to start, I can't buy shares if I wanted to because I use TastyTrade. They don't do over the counter, and then I use Robinhood, or my main two brokers. I have a Fidelity account, but I don't have any money in there. I never use it. So I haven't bought anything on it. I know everyone's hyped on it. It's not doing so hot at the moment. I think depending on how you got in, if it's low cost, you know, trading. I trade small. I keep things very small for me. Always for me, shares or options. If I am buying something to find risk, I am accepting the fact that that money could go to zero. And I'm very good at buying shares and never looking again. So MTPLF, if that's the way you're going to go with it, it could play out huge. I mean, people are talking about it's like the next MSTR. I fortunately got into MSTR very early. I got into MSTR before the 10-to-1 split. So I'm at a point of I have shares. I'm just going to sit and wait. I don't know what the heck's going to happen with strategy, but everyone's talking like MTPLF is the next big thing. I hope you all are right. I mean, there's a lot of people with a lot of money in there. But like an over-the-counter stock, those don't have the best reputation, unfortunately. That is coffee, everyone, by the way. I've only lost money on it so far. Unfortunate. Okay, well, I don't know what your port size is, but hopefully that is a recoverable amount. Is it realized or unrealized is the question. Okay, that's good. So you just like day trade, swing trade it then, I guess I'm assuming? You're not buying and holding. Gotcha. Yes. Just landed down 6 grand and lost all profit I made this summer, especially. Oh, gotcha. That's the tough thing with day trading or swing trading sometimes. I mean, I know with shares, at least you don't have theta to deal with. It seems like you're somewhat accustomed. For me, with shares, I'm a buy it and I maybe play with them in options contracts, or I just let it sit and I pretend like it's not there anymore. I've, but I started as just a buy and holder, so it's worked out well for me, so that's kind of why my bias is there, especially with shares. I have a hard time letting go. So, gotcha. Yeah, you kind of have to pretend like it's not there, or else exactly you're going to kind of freak out and panic. And that's why it's good to kind of have it like, hey, I like this SRFM company. I know hardly anything about them other than they're like autonomous planes, and it was like, okay, I'll buy a few shares, and that's an amount that if it went to zero, I'd be okay with it. Um, and I hardly look at it. Hey, and what's your favorite stock replacement strategy? Since you asked me, she's probably at work. You can keep typing, Ludo. Don't need to change the subject on you. You can keep going. We can have several subjects going. Makes sense that you're at work. You like a longer dated zebra. I think that's kind of a good way to go with the zebra if you have the money for it because it gives you time to be right. Um, like that Apple trade that I said that I had a loss on, what it started as was a relatively short term zebra. And I think that caused me to panic. When I opened it, it was probably June or July. I opened it in August. Looking back now, if I spent a little bit more and opened it in September, I probably would have been more comfortable sitting on it instead of panicking. But who knows? I was in a much different place when I opened that trade than I am now. I was a little more. Yeah, it doesn't matter. I was in a relationship; it was stressing me out. Anyways, yes, exactly. So because you have no extrinsic value, you really got theta. You don't really have theta fighting against you, which is nice, and it makes it so you can sit in it more. Um, yeah, well, hopefully, or float down with the stock. But yes, hopefully floating up with the stock. Although we're in a bull market, so exactly, they all go up. Apparently, apparently. Y'all have any other questions, Grumble Cakes, anything? I mean, do you have questions with zebras or synthetic stock, Grumble Cakes, since we're talking about it? Of course, Anne's going. Hey there, Naomi. I think you've been here before, just answering questions. Please feel free. No dumb questions. Not much going on here, so please feel free to ask a question. You can also answer some if you want to. Yeah. Oh, yeah, it makes sense because you want to figure out the delta and all that stuff. So yeah, you're gonna do all the math, which would be frustrating. Yeah. I'm glad I don't have to do the math. Um, it is nice to have it done for you. And if you ever do feel like switching to Taste Trade, I do have a referral link. And same with anyone here. If anyone feels like switching to Taste Trade, I have a referral link if you'd like to use it. I recommend Tasty Trade, and I do enjoy them. Let me get it to you right now, Ann. It's pinned in my alert channel, but I can grab it. And they also have a actually they're not running it anymore, but every so often they have a new account bonus. They also have a new account bonus sometimes that you got to look at and you might want to ask support about that run it every so often. you can stack the referral and the new account bonus. Might be something you want to look at. I would email support and ask if they're going to run it again. When I did that, they were very honest and said, well, yeah, we'll run it again soon. It's a pretty good bonus, though. And you can stack them. So you join with my referral link, and then you have to talk with them, but there's a way to add the bonus on top of it. You don't get anything from my referral, only I do, but at least you get something with the new account bonus. Because depends on your port value. Grumble Cakes, I have a question for you. So I see you're part of, is this Prism? Is this Prism group? Is this the Alloy group? Or is that something different? It's not Prism, is it? Okay. I was just going to ask what the heck that Prism thing is. Because I know it's like some AI software or something. But, you know. Gotcha. I mean, they definitely have promoted it a lot. Ally hasn't promoted it a lot, but there's the other guy who's promoted it a lot. Well, yeah. Does anyone have any questions or anything? Oh, here we go. Good, thank you. Oh, all right. I've got nothing at the moment. Well, I guess this is my fault for not having anything planned, I suppose. Let's see, maybe Anne's going to save the day. Doesn't seem like Naomi wants to ask any questions. That's totally cool, Naomi. You're allowed to just be here and listen. All right. Well, if no one has any questions, then maybe we don't keep anyone here anymore. But if anyone does have questions, I'm happy to stay here. I got another hour available if we wanted. But yeah, Ludo for sure. I'd look over that TastyTrade resource. It's very, very helpful. And then if you ever have questions, you feel free to reach out to me. Yeah, of course, Grumble Cakes. You're welcome. Have a good one. You too, Anne. Yeah, Ludo, yeah, if you definitely, yeah, happy Friday. Have a good weekend. Yeah, you're welcome. If you, yeah, you can DM me. I also have a group here where people talk in the group analysis, but um, yeah, you're you can DM me or whatever, or at me on the trading chat. I'll add you as a friend so that you have me. But whatever. But yeah, if no one has any questions, we don't need to stare at me in silence. We can move on. But yeah, thank you guys for joining. Thank you all for joining. And yeah, have a good weekend. We can just end it here. I don't see a reason to keep you all.